In this we're going to soft solder. We're going to use a silver bearing solder. It's 95% tin and 5% silver. It is a 1 pound spool, 1/8 inch diameter on the wire. We're going to use zinc chloride flux, and we're going to swedge this fitting with using a portable mat tank torch. So I must first clean the fitting. It's important for soft soldering that you make sure that it is absolutely clean, no dirt. So we're going to clean it. I have a sand cloth, like emery cloth, sometimes it's called abrasive cloth. The abrasive cloth will clean the dirt off. Solder will not stick to dirt. So I'm cleaning up my fitting, make sure it's nice and clean. Any dirt on it, we gotta get it off. It takes longer to clean the joint than it does sometimes to solder. That's the clean end. You can see it's clean now. We're going to use a fittings brush, and the fittings brush is going to be inserted down into my fitting to clean it. Rotating it, fittings brush. Sometimes it's better to go in one direction because some of the brushes go in the other direction. It's not good for the brush. What we're going to do is we're cleaning the female portion of the swedge joint. The swedge joint is an expanded joint, so we can fit a piece in without using a fitting. Nice and clean in there. Cleaning is important. Put it on my soldering. I'm going to take my zinc chloride. No Corrode is the brand that I'm using. If you want to use it, we use a good brand. Never leave the can open to the atmosphere where dirt or anything can get inside it or sunlight. It does separate. It is zinc chloride with petroleum gel to keep the zinc chloride in suspension. You can also get the zinc chloride in a clear liquid, but this is the most popular. Your flux is one of the most important things for a proper joint. It must be stirred up after each time, and you want to keep it clean out of sunlight. So it's kept clean. The brush is in the can. I stirred it around. I'm going to take my male fitting. Now in air conditioning refrigeration, we don't want to put a lot of stuff into our system. Whatever goes in our system stays in our system. So we're going to apply our flux back off the edge very gingerly, trying not to get anything toward. We don't want any flux. We don't want any flux in the edge here. We want to try to keep the flux back a little bit because it was going to want to flow forward anyway. So we always want to try to keep that edge free of flux. So I try to keep it off this way with the flux this direction because it's going to want to flow in anyway. So that tries to keep as much flux out of the system as we can because acid is not good for our system. Now I'm going to put the fitting together, and I'm going to screw the head on my torch. Head screwed on, striker's right in here as we showed in the torch section. I'm going to use my solder. For a joint like this, the solder, the amount I'm going to use is very minuscule, the amount, right about the size, right where my fingertip is. That's about enough to do the whole joint. When I do this solder joint right here, I am going to take my torch, because I'm right-handed, in my right hand, and I'm going to heat up this side first with my right hand. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to, when I see a puff of smoke come out, I'm going to switch hands, this is the way I do it, to the other side, and I'm going to apply my solder in on this side. That way the solder will flow to the heat and it will flow into the joint. My heat, I'm going to want to keep my heat, my torch, within the shoulder so the solder draws down into the joint itself. So that's what we're going to do. Again, I was applying the solder, pulling the heat out, so I saw the whole way around, I saw my solder flow, and I saw my solder going in, even though the joint kind of tilted a little bit. You don't want to touch the joint. It's hot, of course, but also you don't want to crack it. It can crack very easy. So we're going to cool the joint down gently. It's okay to cool it down. If you let it sit, there's a chance that it can crack. So it's better to cool the joint down. In this case, we're just using a wet rag. Pretty cool to the touch. What happened was the solder flowed to the heat. Here we can see the joint. There's not solder laying everywhere. If you look in, you can see the solder flew the whole way around the joint. On top, the whole way around. You can see I entered it in here, and it flowed around the other side, and it's filled. This whole joint is filled in here. I can see the silver on top. Just enough silver. It's not dripping all over the place. That's how you do a soft solder joint.